Anyway, Wire, Donald Trump sharpening his attacks on Secretary Hillary Clinton just before jetting off to Scotland. Trump launched his new website, lyingcrookedhillary.com. And the site's first post, part one of a 10-part series of what Trump calls Crooked Hillary's 10 legendary lies.
Have you always told the truth?
I've always tried to. We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video.
The next day, within 24 hours, you had a conversation with the Egyptian Prime Minister. You told him this: we know the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack, not a protest.
The on-record political panel is back. USA Today's senior political reporter Heidi Przybyla and Fortune Magazine's Nina Easton. Heidi, well, what a website to buy for Donald Trump. Your thoughts?
Well, they're both launching websites. It was actually kind of odd. They were within 24 hours of each other. But in terms of this specific ad, look, I think for people who are already angry about Benghazi, it's going to keep them angry. Here's a question I have. After talking to a number of congressional Republicans, and this is where Donald Trump might, do well to listen to them, why isn't he focusing on Libya? Because Benghazi, there's things obviously to be angry about, but she sat for 11 hours of testimony, and Gowdy himself said we didn't come out of there learning much new. But Libya, she was a main architect of Libya, and it's become a disaster over there. And the Republicans who I talked to say you really need to stay focused on Libya, which would really appeal to and disturb a much broader swath of the electorate than continually exercising the people who are already exercised over Benghazi.
That's right. I mean, that's her great vulnerability. Of course, Libya became a failed state after we intervened without Plan B, and it very much is part of.
Commander-in-Chief
well, I mean, she was Secretary of State. That's pretty, and she argued for engagement.
To engage in the beginning.
But I think what you're seeing here, both with Hillary and with Trump, is they are figuring out what the public hates among the two most unpopular candidates we've ever had, and they're drilling down. So you had Hillary noting that more than half the public thinks he's dangerous as a president. So she drills down on that, calls him reckless. He'll drive the economy into recession or depression even, and so on. And then he knows from looking at her polls that she's considered untrustworthy. So we've got crooked, lying Hillary Clinton. And I think Heidi's right. I mean, there's sort of you need to kind of go beyond your base, particularly in the language you use, if in a general election. I think, right out of the box, okay, you're appealing to that primary crowd still, but where are you taking this?
Well, here's, he actually had an interview with Sean Hannity on the bank issue, on the whole transcripts. Let's listen to that.
For whatever reason, she doesn't want to give those speeches. And I don't know, there's something going on there, because Bernie Sanders could not, over a long period of time, get her to give the speeches, and he wanted them very badly. But she made a fortune with this stuff, and what's the purpose of it? What are people getting for it? And you look at it, and there's something very strange. The whole thing is very strange. Frankly, she's very strange.
Heidi, I've got something to say about that and about Donald Trump in my off-the-record that's all related. But the issue about the transcripts, I mean, these are from banks that she gave speeches to, and these are the banks that are largely responsible for our recession in 2008. Why won't she turn those over?
I suspect that she was not nearly as critical of the banks when speaking to them one-on-one for a paid fee than she is on the stump. That's pretty much, what I expect. But this is much more on point for Donald Trump, right? Because this was something that Bernie Sanders really bludgeoned her over in the primary in terms of her connections to Wall Street. It's the one line that you can draw from Bernie's people to Trump's people. And it's something that, if he was wise, he's going to keep up.
But her comeback is, why aren't you releasing your tax returns, Donald Trump?
And you both need to stick around for the end of the show for my off-the-record